on that matchup. Big things here. SKT lock in their playoff spot if they get the win. G2 can only do their part here in making that race for 4th place by taking a victory.
And I'm just a little disappointed with what this matchup has become in the context of the tournament, what it means still, as opposed to what it could have been.
Yeah, coming in, a lot of people had these as the number 1 and number 2 teams of the tournament, like yourself.
Yeah, some really smart analysts tried to play that. Sadly, you know, variance happens. Sometimes you're a little wrong. Sometimes Europe decides, you know...
Sometimes you're a lot wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes you're horribly wrong, but...
I also went on a vacation. I didn't actually practice for this event.
Already with the self-memeing.
Okay, all right. But in all seriousness, because there is quite a bit of weight on this matchup, you know, looking at these teams, SKT returning to form a little bit yesterday, picking up the 2-0, so looking a little bit cleaner after a devastating 0-4 losing streak.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of it is the team coming together. We heard Koma talk about interviews. They're not blaming anyone, and they're all keeping together. I actually talked to Blank a little bit. They're all pumping him up. They're saying, this doesn't matter. It's your first international, like, it's actually your second international tournament, but we can turn this around.
That's what they say.
Well, we don't know. Overall, though, it's a good point. Because to me, SK Telecom, just overall, the organization just seems more disciplined to me than the G2 team.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, but it's a valuable point because what we've seen is that an SKT roster who starts 0-2, then goes 0-4, can rebound and go 2-0 again, right? Yeah. So that and it does come from the structure, the infrastructure they've built, and the people that they have who are kind of helming the ship. Whereas with G2, it still feels like they're lost. They picked up 1-2 wins against the Turkish team, but they don't seem to be finding a rhythm. They don't look much cleaner.
It's also just a very young players, also a very young organization overall. It can't be an excuse. It's just a little bit of a context there. But yeah, I like what SKT is doing though. And if you look at the games, it's not one individual member underperforming. Like we have a lot of narrative around Blank. He dashed into a wall a couple of times. He made some errors, but it was every single.
Speaking of expectations, I thought Bang was going to be the best AD carry coming in, and he's been underperforming.
Invisible,
well.
like Wolf. Like usually when you watch an SKT game, there's at least 1 or 2 phases where like, you know, damn Wolf, so much better than me. Like not anymore. Like he's just not showing up at all. So all these players are struggling, and then you can really see when you have a team with democratic shot calling, it all goes down the drain because communication breeds communication. And when people start failing, they're just not helping each other.
Yeah, players not meeting expectation. But before we get into picks and bans, we'll hear what Wolf thinks about SKT's missteps at MSI.
사실 왜 그런지는 저도 잘 모르겠어요. 이런 뭐 확 뭐 높고나짐이 되는 그런 적이 몇 번 없어서 왜 그런지는 잘 모르겠는데 확실한 건 고쳐지고 있다는 게 확실한 점 같아요. 저희가 스크림을 하고 대회를 하면서 이런 경험은 많아요. 하루 만에 이렇게 높낮임 되는 적은 없지만 저희가 이번 리그도 롤챔스도 7등에서 시작해서 우승까지 했기 때문에 지금 잠깐 떨어졌어도 다시 연습하면 다시 우승권에 들 수 있을 거라고 확신하고 있어요.
And that's honestly the hope that a lot of fans have for SKT is, okay, yeah, they lost 4 in a row, but they've gotten progressively more on the ball as time goes on. As long as they win 1 more game in the next 2, they will lock playoffs.
Yeah, and let's get realistic. 4th for SKT is really scary for whoever is the first place team, because this is a team that had 2 bad games of tournament play. Like, you would have to be crazy to count this team out. There is so much individual class and talent on the team. And when they do get it together, if they secure that spot...
If they get it together.
Yeah, if they get it together and have the 4 days off, there is a chance for them to regroup. They started doing it already, but I think they're still not playing the best league of... Like, they're not... I'm not even going to say that. They're not playing the best
They're
league of
not playing their best. And they're
yeah.
up against G2, who have looked a lot better than yesterday. So we're going to see if this actually ends up being a really close match. We're going to get ourselves into the starting lineups, though. And starting off for us is going to be SK Telecom T1 from South Korea. Duke, their new top laner this season. Their new jungler as well. Blank has been starting every single game. Faker, the man everyone knows in the mid lane, no matter where you're from. Bang, coming into this, probably the best AD carry in the world, trying to shape up. Wolf on support, we heard from him a minute ago. And Coach Koma, someone I have a huge amount of respect for, who's led SKT to so many titles.
Yeah, you certainly have to. And on the other side of the rift, it is G2 Esports from Europe. KHA'ZIX is their top laner. Trick is their superstar jungler with Perks, their rookie mid laner, who's having a disappointing tournament so far. Emperor, their AD carry, and Hybrid is their support, as well as their coach, Youngbuck.
And this is, again, a battle of the top teams from their regions. We talk about these teams slumping, these teams, having bad tournament showings. Keep in mind, just a couple weeks ago, they were on top. They were the best team. Korea, SK Telecom T1 dropped like 2 games or something in their entire playoff run of, I think, 3 best-of-5s against the other best teams in Korea. Europe's G2, several great series as well for those guys. And to slump this hard in 2 weeks and then try to come back into it is the important thing here. And what form these teams are on is really important now coming into this one. G2 can make playoffs.
Yeah, they certainly can. And let's cast our mind back to the last time these teams played. It was the beginning of the end for SKT because they absolutely dominated G2 in that matchup. And then the next day kind of went on their slump. However, this was also when the warning bells really started to ring for G2 because they lost this game in pretty convincing fashion. There was a 2-roller Rise running around Summoner's Rift, lighting people up, which as far as combat stat effectiveness on Rise go, is really up there in terms of strength as well. So it's a unique build. Like, you won't see it all that often, but if you're ahead, Faker already showed that it's effective, man.
Wow, and even with Azir still on the table, they want Rise right away. Faker, this was his signature champion at last year's World Championship. In fact, he's got his own skin now for Zed and now Rise as well, by the way. And this is going to be the champion that he wants to play in this one. G2, though, had pinched a couple of junglers. Nidalee still available, but Kindred off the table, as well as every top laner you'd care about.
Yeah, and we'll see whether Trick wants to take.
And they'd rather pinch
jungler.
Wolf.
That's really interesting.
They're trying to pinch Wolf and Blank, the two most underperforming members, I would say, of SKT.
I also want to talk about the Rise pickup because Perk, whilst being underwhelming in this tournament so far, his best champion definitely has been Rise. I think it's fair to say. And, has been sold out a couple of times on something like the Azir, so Faker's throwing the gauntlet right now. This is the kind of player that Faker is. He's like, you know what, I'm going to take your best champion away from you. If you want to take Azir, fine, I'll beat you in the skill matchup as well.
And we'll see if they can do that here in this one. Of course, there's still a world of mid laners still to play, so maybe G2 goes for something else in this one. But SKT picking more cream of the crop champions. Okay, Maokai's off the table. You can trade Echo for Poppy, but they want the Echo in that matchup. Still considered to be slightly better than Poppy as far as that goes. And Sivir as well for Bang. We don't get to see a whole lot of her this tournament. I think she's an amazing AD carry. And Bang grabbing it as well with every other marksman on the table. We'll see how this comp develops, but I love Sivir Rise as a combo. Just getting mid there is so important.
Movement speed is good on everyone.
Yes, it is.
Just turns out to be fantastic on Rise. Yeah, so like Sivir is going to give something to everyone. I mean, Echo's not going to be mad at some extra movement speed as well. So I'm kind of in a similar vein. If you can afford to run a Sivir, if you don't think you're going to get punished too hard in lane, or you think that you can guarantee a lane swap, something like that, I think that she still is right up there with the best AD carries.
And meanwhile, we got to see what Wolf wants to go for here. The Alistar was banned away. The Braum was picked first round by a G2. Tom Kench has been his go-to. He's hovering Soraka. And Blank has not been a great Nidalee. And otherwise, Kindred and Graves are off the table. Again, G2 trying to limit these champion pools. And Koma, SKT's coach, speaking to his Korean teammates, planning out the last few picks here. Jungle and support are needed. And it's actually going to be the Soraka and the Lee Sin. So Blank's Lee Sin and Wolf's Soraka, and it will be the Azir for Perks.
Yeah, so wow, that's an interesting composition piecemeal together from SKT. I feel like 2v2 lane is going to be slightly difficult. There is a lot of pressure that comes out Kalista versus Sivir, especially because you can't really time that rend with the spell shield.
Yep.
Something that just doesn't really work out in your favor. So a lot of pressure on Wolf to keep Bang alive. I mean, SKT right now, they do play for the latter game team fighting. They don't really play to win lane.
Yeah, but here's the weird thing, right, is Azir, of course, a great team fighter to match Rise, and also Braum is so good in a Sivir. He kills Ricochet as well as Boomerang Blade, and even if you spell shield Braum passive, you can restart it right away. So you can get guaranteed stuns in a Sivir. It's honestly a little bit difficult, but SKT picking what they want to play here.
But in saying that, SKT were one of the few team fighting teams that would play Sivir into Braum and make it work. They are a patient team when they're playing their best League of Legends. This team comp will show us if they are doing that yet.
And especially against what could be an on-form G2 against a sort of middle power SKT. This is the battle for SKT to secure playoff seeding and also to have a chance of getting out of 4th place and dodging Royal in the first round of the playoffs, who's, I think, easily the top team of this tournament. We're going to see who it's going to be and who can win this one. As we have the coaches shake hands, the Mid-Season Invitational logo on your screen, and you guys at home, let us know who it's going to be to take this one down. Hashtag SKT win, hashtag G2 win, whether you support the Koreans or the European lineup. We'll see who it's going to be. Korea owns the Rift. There's the LCK logo. And we're getting ourselves into the third game of the day, a battle for who will make it into the playoffs. The final spot on the line, SKT vs G2. Here we go.
Yeah, and both teams need this victory. G2 to stay alive in the tournament, SKT to start building that form they will need going into the break and eventually the playoffs. If they're able to piecemeal it together, and honestly, when you would say one position apart, 4th versus 5th, probably wouldn't be where you would have put SKT and G2 before this tournament.
Nope. But G2 are on kind of almost in control of their own destiny. If they can beat SKT, they can beat CLG.
And SKT still have a hard game at the end of the day.
SKT have to play Royal, who have only lost one game the entire tournament. So this is kind of the game that, in most scenarios, tells us if G2 can make playoffs here. Win speakers rise, no surprise. Otherwise, standard stuff coming out of this one on both the sides for Keystones. And nothing too spicy for the level 1s here.
And I like Wind Speakers on Rise, because there's not an abundance of hard CC right now.
Storm Raiders, sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, Storm Raiders. So did I. Strength of the Ages is fantastic if you're going to get locked down and you need the combat effective stats, but Storm Raiders, very useful against soft CC.
Looks like both teams will have jungle starts for their duo lanes and standard leashes via top laner to their jungler. SKT have the choice of only going for the small Krug, which honestly you take a fair bit of damage doing this as Sivir, but at the same time with the Soraka it's not really that big of a worry. And looks like they will take down both halves of it, so full jungle clears, and depending on how fast they go, you can level up on just 4 minions in the first wave.
Yeah, and it's really cool because the speed really does matter now. You get punished if you do it a little bit more slowly. You also, as a Sivir lane, generally want to be shoving up. Sivir nullifies aggression by controlling minion waves. The ideal scenario is you make the Callista without the Hurricane, because obviously you don't start with any items, play against creeps only, and not be able to bully around that lane. So you see already Emperor Hybrid beat them to level 2 and want to start pushing in on this wave.
And that's the risk here. Nice little bit of damage on the Bang. Hybrid not really finding any damage just yet, but ooh, good dodge by Wolf. But another quick rend. And Emperor playing this really well. He's noticed that he's always lodging spears into minions and then landing the rend and then going for another rend combo. And you can see he's done some fairly significant damage to Bang. But guess what? He's got a Soraka support. It's not going to mean all that much. Emperor ultimately has missed 3 CS in the first couple of waves. See how much Bang gets. Yeah, Kikis and Duke really battling it out here, but Duke getting the better of it slightly.
Yeah, so last time these teams played, I believe it was Kikis on the Gragas top lane, and he got bodied by Duke. In fact, he forced the teleport out of Perks so early in that matchup, and it was Duke actually on the Poppy then, but it kind of forfeited Perks' lane and put Kikis so far behind, so he really does need to be able to control this Echo in the earlier stages of the game.
And we'll see how much control there can be as we keep the jungle roots in mind. Trick just taking his blue buff. No real danger there. Not going to be handing over to Azir, it looks like, but just kiting slowly and surely. Bang and Wolf limping into this one. They are not down much in CS, honestly. This bot lane is not too bad, but more damage on the Wolf. But nothing's really sticking here. He's still got 2 potions, so really no danger on the Soraka.
And both junglers are actually hard farm junglers. I mean, Lee Sin does have some good early game damage, but you really do want the level 6 to be able to get into these lanes. Perks is a gank that you might consider going for, at least popping your head in there, seeing if you can get an exhaust or something like that. But really not overly that much pressure will come out of Graves or Lee Sin as a rule of thumb in the early game, so pushing is completely fine.
Kikis having to run away from Duke, really having a bad time in this matchup. We're already down 7 minions and down a lot of health as well. Corrupting Potion is empty. Great reflexes by Bang to spell shield that Q out of Hybrid. And now we're seeing SKT starting to win the laning phase a little bit. Duke has got a sizable lead, and Bang and Wolf have now started to crest the lead over Emperor and Hybrid.
And they've started to stack up that minion wave as well, so it will eventually start pushing in. And I really do need to stress that it's so risky, especially...
Speaking of risky, Kick is so low on HP under his turret. He's got some of the spells up, but he's got basically no health bar at all. He's almost for sure done. So in this one, a flash to get away, but Blank's still going to get him into range. Stun's not going to land. Blank's going to walk away from the turret cleanly. First blood picked up by SKT. Beautifully done.
Yeah, really nicely played there out of Blank. Just so patient. Cuts off the minion wave. I mean, Kickus even burned a flash in what was nearly a guaranteed kill. So he's going to have to teleport back up into this lane. Blank's going to be level 6 relatively soon, maybe another minute and a half. And he's just going to be a sitting duck up there.
This is going to be rough. Kickus in the last matchup went 0-3-0 on that Gragas, and he's not in any better shape here in this Poppy. Definitely getting exposed a little bit. Duke heavily outlaning him.
Especially if Duke gets to walk back to lane. He teleports up. Okay, so that's a slight reprieve right now for G2. Because if Duke had to walk that one out, it would have been double teleport against an Azir, who generally can't follow Rise into Fog of War. And the plays into bottom lane really do start opening up for SKT there. So I don't know if I agree with Duke's choice to continue to win his lane solely, maybe look towards bottom lane a little bit more, but you understand that now that you're up that 14 CS, you want to continue the pressure.
Oop. All right. Reveals the ward. He's going to be fine. Loses the Raptor buff, but the early Tracker's Knife out of Trick, trying to get some vision around the jungle. Kickus again in a battle with Duke. That Duke is winning level 6-5 right now, and Kickus actually had to go for some armor as well, just didn't have enough money to buy anything else, so he has a cloth armor against Echo. That feels bad.
Yeah, and he's not just winning this lane matchup anymore. He's completely smashing him. I mean, falling down on a tank, especially when you have a relatively similar item path, always feels horribly because you could very rarely get yourself back in. Yeah.
Well, Duke misses the Time Winder, misses the phase dive as well, so Kickus gets to survive that one as Duke is running a little bit out of mana here, but it's not going to be too big of a concern, I don't think. That Bomby Cinder knocking down these lane minions slowly but surely. 900 gold lead for SK Telecom T1. And again, looking for the play on the Kickus. Will not quite trigger the passives. Good by Kickus to get away from those.
But this is what I'm talking about. Lee Sin, hard farming, 6:45. Generally, it's about 7:15 that you get your level 6. So he's about 30 seconds ahead of the clock, and we'll see whether he makes a play somewhere on the map to really utilize that once top lane.
Trick sees him, hits level 6 himself. They both stand on top of wards as they reveal each other, and Blank won't have anything to do here. Kickus will be able to survive under his turret for a while.
So good path, jungle pathing from Trick to be on the weak side of the map right now. He knows that there's a potential for a gank.
He's trying something else, though. Perk's on its top of a pink ward. Knows that he's safe. Duke recalls, ults right back into lane, gets another safe recall. Boots in a Sapphire Crystal was that one. Doesn't need it to deal with Kickus here in the lane, who's going to take a recall and lose a cannon wave doing so. Trick's going to have to go up and grab that XP, I assume. And he will do so, but that means Kickus is going to be farther and farther and farther behind. Duke's 7.5 to 6.5 of Kickus.
And he's not even going to do it because he doesn't want to expose himself on the map. He understands that Flash on Rise with a tier as well as Lee Sin is 100% kill threat in the mid lane. Bottom side of the map has been pink watered, so they have a path into that mid lane at least. So he wants to be able to defend his mid laner here. Trick and Perks, of course, known for their great synergy during the European LCS.
He's trying now. Blank coming around the backside. Faker wants it. Nice ward. Hop the flash. Take a big knockback out of Perks. And he flashes back to safety. Q lands for Blank, but he's going to be all right. A trade of flashes. And a loss of the exhaust from Perks. Yeah. Trick now in the lane. Blank here again. Looking for the ward. Hop into the Q. Is going to land it. Here comes Duke as well. Plenty of damage to deal. Perks goes down. What a great gank. What a great dive. And a beautiful kill for SKT. 2-0.
And you know the gank's going well when Faker flashes, gets smoke screen, doesn't even get a rune prison down, and the mid laner still dies. Unfortunately, Perks had to use both of his summoner spells in the initial gank, as now Kicker's looking for Duke.
I don't know if he's going to win this matchup. He's already down several items, but he has the Spectre's Cowl, makes him feel a little bit more tanky, and he's okay here. But Faker wave clearing with the very meager amounts of mana he's got left. He's going to do okay with this one, but yeah, that extra kill in the mid lane definitely helping.
So let's take another look at this. Ward hop into Kick, doesn't use the Iron Will, so, you know, keeps all of the energy that he needs to follow through on that. Faker gets no spells off in that rotation. It's just a really smart roam down from Duke. He understands that Kickers can't follow at this stage of the game. Probably didn't have the teleport available still. So SKT, this is what we're used to seeing them doing. You use both summoner spells when you probably should have only had to use one. We're going to punish that mistake. We're going to visit mid lane again very, very quickly and take out your mid laner, generate a gold lead for our team. And this is what we expected out of the squad coming in.
Ooh, Hybrid missing the Q, partially dodged by Wolf, partially a miss. That could have been the opening to go into this one as all of SKT were on the other side of the map. Duke would have had teleport, but Kickus could have matched. Sadly for G2 fans, no play to be made on the bot side. 1,000 gold lead remains stagnant here, and Trick looking for a counter gank. If Faker wants to go in, Perk's getting some damage across, but no ulti means no big play. But Trick flashes in for the play, Wish turns it around, and Trick suddenly wishes he weren't there at all. Blank gets the kill, 3-0, Hybrid roaming, missing the ulti as Blank ward hops out, and what a great Lee Sin game so far for the Korean jungler.
Yeah, Blank's pathing has been so much improved in this game. He is always in the side of the map, and you can see that the communication seems to be slowly funneling back in for SKT. Wolf tanking up some damage for no apparent reason, but he's just a Soraka. It doesn't really matter all that much.
Speaking of not mattering very much, the opposite in this top lane here is Duke is just completely crushing. KHA'ZIX now up 13 minions. He's got 2 kills as well. The actual gold lead itself is 1,000. Most of the SKT lead is in Duke versus KHA'ZIX, and Blank looking to exacerbate that, but Trick is coming, sensing that there might be something spicy going on down here. Perks, well, actually going in for the kill into Faker at half HP because Hybrid is here. They land this time, but did they have the damage? The answer is yes. A great roam by G2 support gets 1 on the board.
Yeah, so Hybrid able to help out. The exhaust coming up crucial there, keeps Perks alive. And they're throwing so much into this mid lane. They understand that if they can get the Azir to late game, time and time again at MSI has been proven true that you will win the team fights with that champion. So you have to respect the game plan for G2. They get it back to 1,000 gold.
Yeah, good by them. G2 licking their wounds, finding things to do. Bot lane has stayed equal despite the roams. We watched that fight again. Just really nice.
Yeah, so a really good use of denial of vision and scooping him towards the support for just the auto attack. I mean, they get the stun there, they get the exhaust, Faker can't run away. And honestly, as hard as SKT are winning this top lane, it's a 20 CS and now a kill over to Perks. He's winning the mid lane very hard as well. The difference is, Duke kind of did that by himself. I got a little bit of assistance to finish off a kill, whereas they're throwing so many resources at Faker right now. I still think it's the right move.
I think both teams were, though. We had a 3-man dive not long ago that killed off Perks. Both these teams have spent a lot of effort pushing the mid laners down.
Definitely true. And I think that, you know, we've seen... Ooh,
yeah.
This is a...
We're seeing Blank.
Risky play, though.
Okay, well, he ults back, Hybrid, and actually gets away from most of CC. Now the damage on the bang, Wolf is taking, though. Trick is here, already a kill picked up for 1, but Blank will be next up. A big Echo Stun, and somehow they're not dying. Blank is alive, walking away. Are you serious?
SKT absolutely style on G2 in the bottom lane, able to pick up 2 kills. They're not done.
Hybrid burns the ulti, KHA'ZIX wants in, still can't kill off Blank. Wish would save that entire time. And that is a heartbreaker for Europe. Korea's SK Telecom TUI just ripping this game open.
What the heck, SKT? It was a telegraphed play. G2 knew it was coming, and it was definitely risky. But, you know, once again, Azir can't follow Rise into that fog of war. Arrives slightly late. It's a 4v5. They juggle Telerate aggro so incredibly well. I just can't believe they lived. How the heck did Blank live?
He never had turret aggro, and no one was there to deal any damage. Just, they weren't there.
We get to see. So he walks over a ward. They know this play is happening.
Azir's running down now.
Double teleport comes in. And it's
so
Wolf
holds
the
aggro.
whole time. Holds aggro. He just doesn't panic. Transfers it over now to Bang. And then Faker grabs it. Oh, that is so lucky that Faker got aggro there.
His KHA'ZIX couldn't land that last auto attack. He was silenced by Soraka. Another dive on a Faker. Perks can't quite kill him, but he's now Rune Prison inside a turret range. Has to flash over the wall, but surprise! Blank is here, turning his health bar to just that. Hybrid forced to run away with the complimentary Trick support there, but this game is going bad to worse for the European squad.
And this is a game where SKT, once again, are just waiting for G2 to make a play and then capitalizing on it. I mean, the one proactive play was the double teleports into the bottom lane. However, apart from that, time and time again, they're just absorbing all of that pressure that G2 is throwing at them and coming out ahead more often than not. Still only a 2,500 gold lead. It looks like they're finally ready to start trading some turrets here, G2.
Yeah, they're playing for the top lane side right now. Dragon will go to SKT, so will bottom outer turret. Bang should have no problems at all with the amount of attack damage he's got. But the question is, can Duke survive? There's no teleport for Faker. Trick is already like inside that jungle, but Faker walking up the lane to keep him alive. KHA'ZIX actually might get killed here. He's got turret aggro, and Blank is still doing damage. Nearly gets rooted up by Wolf. KHA'ZIX just took like 5 turret shots. Burke's there to bail him out. he's going to be okay.
And all of a sudden, that means that, you know, SKT have a chance to defend this turret for one more wave. In fact, they might not even get it now because multiple members moving up to try and support this Echo.
There's nothing to do for G2. They've been here for a long time. The Sivir rotates up after knocking down the turret, recalling, getting a Zeal. Faker had walked up before to keep the turret alive. Now he's holding mid, so there's no more pressure there. And SKT playing the macro game better. They got a dragon and a turret and lost nothing.
And I think this is what people really did expect when they saw SKT's form coming into this. I mean, they were running Rox Tigers around the map, but also beating them in team fights as that series progressed. And it seemed that this is the closest we really have seen them in a clean early game. I mean, they won out against North America yesterday, but I think a lot of that actually had to do with the Zillion pick. Talking about picks people aren't experienced against, Faker's champion pool is an ocean of depth and has a couple up his sleeves. We still haven't seen Cassiopeia or Rise.
Into Rise.
Yeah.
Or yeah, Vel'Koz. We talk about the commonly seen counter picks. Bang knocks on the top turret. Walks into the 2-on-2 lane. Emperor recalls, says, you're right, that building's yours. You can have the rest of what Duke did earlier to kick us.
And this is actually quite curious. One time I will talk about wave clear is into the Sivir because she generates so much pressure by instantly clearing a wave and disappearing. So that's generally why you see, as they're looking for an invade here.
Ward is on. Perkson's co-seeing everyone. Blink just jumps in, says that's the trick, but you know what? That's okay. Despite where the blue buff takes it in. Now Perks wants in and gets the knockback onto Blink, who's stuck inside. Kickus shows as well. What a great turnaround by G2, but they burned a lot to do so. Now, forced to run away. No teleports used by SKT. Emperor, though, meanwhile, dying in the top side of the map. Nearly burned his heal. Hybrid couldn't get the damage across. Bang survived thanks to Wolf, but now the teleport's coming across. They're going to land it slow. They're going to look for the stun as well. Kickus can reach and they can't. A cancel TP by Duke, very intelligently so. G2 losing out in kills and summoners.
Yeah, so in the end, because the completed summoner is at Ultrek,
he's going to maybe survive. Yes, he will. Ult's back out. But this game is slipping away. 4,500 gold lead 16 minutes in and change is pretty huge.
And just look at the pressure generated across map. I mean, Duke, because he didn't complete that teleport, now has completely unrivaled control of the bottom lane. Will be able to get damage down with that Iceborne Gauntlet.
There's a chance of fighting this one off. Exhaust Faker, but doesn't go back in, so unable to use the exhaust to any real damage. Faker just wearing him down.
Yeah, it's just standing and delivering, honestly. And still doesn't feel the need to recall because of how much pressure is in the other lanes. Finally, the Sivir recall. We'll see if they get... Oh, this is actually what happened in the top lane. So it's actually Emperor and Hybrid going aggressive. They thought they caught Bang.
And he just doesn't die.
The power of Soraka, man.
Oh, early rend and then Summoner heal. Warlord's Bloodlust. If Emperor hadn't early rendered, they would have eventually gotten him.
Yeah, definitely the case. So another small misplay out of the bottom lane of G2. And once again, this is one of those things, not used to playing against the likes of Soraka. You rend a little bit early.
Yeah, really rough stuff there. That was nearly a great pickoff as Bang hadn't spell shielded any of the initial combo. But beautifully done by the SKT duo lane, turning it back around. 4,000 still the gold lead for SKT. We've seen comebacks here, but it's getting farther and farther away from G2 right now. Blank going back in a flash, to land the stun. They really want to kill off Blank, who flashes himself. A great kickback out of Kickus, trade of Summoners, goes back to jungler.
Yeah, 3 members over there, and you see that right now Duke's in the top lane. Really no reason to defend that if you are Blank. Just give up the vision, continue to generate pressure on the map. You're already so far up. Instead has to burn ulti and summoner spell to escape there. Good setup from G2, but these are sloppy mistakes that will get punished by a more informed team as this tournament progresses.
You're seeing the progress in this top lane here, though. Duke getting plenty of damage down. I was informed that he doesn't own a kingdom, it's a duchy. So thank you for the correction, random internet stranger whose name I forgot, but Duke honestly setting up with duchy in the top lane. That turret's nearly dead, honestly. He's been heavily winning that matchup. And really, there's no good lane for G2 right now. You see Perks has to burn Exhaust in a 1-on-1 against Faker, who then just walks his way through the Summoner spell, thanks to the slow resistance of Storm Raider's Surge. So Exhaust just does nothing to stop Faker from, all right, I'll just disengage, no big deal, lose your 3-minute cooldown.
Yeah, and, you know, Rise is one of those scary champions, because he needs level 9 double mana item. Then he's strong. Yes. Anything he gets above that is amazing. After that, he can actually just go defensive stats. In fact, I think GA as a 3rd item is arguably the best build that you can go on Rise, right? Because it turns you into someone that they don't want to hit and still does so much consistent damage. So I just think that Faker understands this and is just, he's not all that worried about being camped out on Rise. I think on a scaling mage like Azir that doesn't have the same immediate power, that needs to get to the 3-4 item marks to take over a game, it's much more of a concern of camping out Faker. And that's why we will see him go back towards the likes of Zilli and the likes of Rise as this tournament progresses.
Well, it's been beautiful stuff so far watching SKT as they shape back up, and they've been in complete control over G2.
Faker also does this refillable potion thing a lot.
I like it. It's really gold efficient.
Yeah. He likes to trade. He uses his health bar as kind of that resource. Like, if the other mid laner is low and he is low, he's very happy with that outcome because he does trust his teammates. And you're right. Like, every time that perks go back, maybe he invests 100 gold into potions. Faker just did that up front. And doesn't really have to be concerned about it.
Well, it's been good stuff so far. So here we go, looking at the fact that, yes, the LCK representative, SK Telecom T1 from Korea, have secured their second Dragon of the game. And honestly, G2 have almost nothing to say for themselves. 2 kills, no objectives right now for the European squad. Looking to keep their playoff hope alive. Wolf will not go down. A great kickback, and now Perks is rooted up, and he goes down to Faker. A delivery from Blank, and now Trick has to flash away. Hybrid's ulti to buy some more time, but SKT continue to wedge this game farther and farther apart.
What a silence out of Wolf. As soon as he slides in there, Perks has it at his feet, cannot scoop him into the rest of the team. And this is what Crepo is talking about. Like, once or twice a game, Wolf will just do something and you're like,
oh, Blank gets it again.
This guy really is that good mechanically. You know, it's not only his brain that shows up into the game, and SKT now with all of the pressure in the mid lane.
Looking for more as they go push into the mid-tier 2. They've got 2 Dragons Reeds. They get that burn damage. SKT getting plenty of damage across. Hybrid getting rooted up, taking a blood of punishment, but Fate's Call turns him back in, and he goes back into Bang. Hybrid just flashes back out. Why even bother going in? They know they can't fight the 4v5.
You have control of that Hybrid.
Yeah.
You don't have to throw yourself
You
at
literally
them.
just click.
You can save the summoner spell. You got the 3-man knockup as well. Like, that was the best it could have possibly got. And still has to just get the heck out. Wow. Let's take another look at Wolf. So Perks slides in here and straight away, silence at his feet, cannot scoop him out. Then Emperor
is probably dead. Duke chasing in. You'd think an Emperor would be more powerful, but in this case, Duke just owns way more.
Yeah, you know, it's a rather small empire versus a very large duchy right now.
Clearly so.
But yeah, that was going back to the replay. That's just like instant reaction out of Wolf, and the kick out of Blank to serve him up to Faker. I mean, just lobs him in the general direction, and Faker spikes him down.
No, despite some of the early camp, Faker 1-1-3, scaling up nicely. Blank honestly having a redemption game here in the Lee Sin. G2 thought they could push him down as champion pool. What turns out 3-1-4, a ton of early impact. Blank is crushing this game and is the primary reason SKT is winning now. I'd seen a lot of comments about how they're just waiting for SKT to put Bangi back in. Save the tournament for SKT. But they hold on to the jungler they thought was going to do better in Blank, and he's improving quite quickly. He's back on form.
And with good reason. I think that you have to acknowledge the early season struggles that SKT had with Bangi on their lineup. They didn't just randomly add Blank to a world championship squad because they felt like a change. Like, this guy is a very classy player, of course, was from Royal in the LPL, and now Hybrid.
Well, gets a multi-man knockup force right away. Will not get rooted up, but Emperor pulls him in. Looking for the play. Gets a slow on to Blank and a teleport from over the wall by Kikis. Finds nobody to attack. That is a loss of a 4-minute cooldown. Now Trick beset. Kikis finds a knockup. Looks for Blank and Bang, but they're just split apart. Trick so low. Kikis nearly dead as well. A knockback by Perks. Who thinks, all right, delivery to the team. I'll kill everybody for you. And does so. That's a 1-for-1 though. Emperor could be next, but he takes down Blank first. Not the worst thing in the world. Overall though, 3-for-2 as also Kikis has fallen. Hybrid runs away.
Optimistic guy, Freak, because a 2-for-3 and a 4v5 as they pick up the bottom lane turret for me is quite a poor trade for G2. I mean, they are 10,000 gold behind nearly, just over 9k. And fishing for plays, which is what you have to do against a squad like SKT. But once again, SKT just have the right answer.
They could have teleported Duke. That summoner spell is up, and they chose to fight it the way they did. Turns out it's the right choice. SKT crushing in this game. Triple the kills. Still no turrets or dragons given up.
And they just have control over the map ever since they snowballed their top lane. Let's take another look at this, actually. So Kickers teleports in, and now that the Summoner spell is burnt, they need to make it. Duke's teleport actually not available yet, but SKT choose to fight it. And as you mentioned, Perks just scoops Faker onto the pretty much 4 members on top of each other, and he goes nuts.
A nice knock-up as well. Blank hit several with the kickback. It did save Hybrid, but they're at the black line quite a lot, and Bang just went to town with Ricochet.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I was going to mention. Azir is kind of a gift and a curse to Sivir, because when on the opposite team, keeps her at reach and separates the fight into front line and back line really effectively. However, if ever scoops everyone onto the same spot, Sivir can light them up, and now with 3 items, that only gets scarier as the game progresses.
Yep. Now it's in full scary Sivir zone. 70% crit chance with a static shiv, the full offensive build. Bang can kill any 5 people he wants, and it's probably going to be G2 that he chooses to kill. But you never know.
Yeah. Sometimes he dashes into Pulverize. And
yeah.
Sometimes
it's himself and a minion wave. That's gone.
Here we go.
Looking for the play. Hybrid misses the Q, puts the shield up. Here's the TP flank. Faker's in, so is Duke. They look for Trick. Graves is going to be sent to his shortly, running away. Critted up, and there's the kill. Blake landed with the Q. Emperor gone as well, and Perks is alone. A nice knockback. Actually delivers Faker to Perks. Scumbag Kickus.
And somewhere, I hope Duke laughed at that, because that is something that he's very familiar at doing. Kickus will eventually fall down.
Fighting for his life, but it's not going to be for much longer. A nice heal out from Wolf. He's trying to buy some time. Finally does fall as Faker's pushing out the bot side of the map. Hybrid is in range. Yes, he is. Faker roots him. Q, E, jump to a minion. Ignore the fact there's a minion wave here. Keep rocking forward. By the way, Bang is still inside the base, knocking down the inhibitor itself. So SKT getting farther ahead. They lost 0 kills for that fight.
Yeah, and the rest of the team, they're actually looking at Baron right now. They decide it's not worth it. They're just going to recall. There was no damage on that side of the map. But great use of the double teleport. Get the flank that they're looking for. All right, let's see it. So they use the double teleport onto a pre-prepped minion ward. Faker comes in first, followed up by Duke. So a little bit of a disconnect there. But really, this crit on the Ricochet is what we're talking about. Just chunks out everyone. And the fight's already over. SKT are just way too strong, as Faker gets lobbed on top of Perks, pretty much.
I think he was going to cut off anyway. He was coming down into the right, but still not the best situation to be in. Faker gets a solo with Dragon. You know, it's funny. There's actually a Duke against 2 Emperors this game. G2's AD carries named it, and Perks is the Emperor of Shurima.
That is true.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Still, SKT owns way more territory.
They're in the whole of Summoner's Rift right now. I mean, they pick up another free dragon. That's 3-0. And it looks like SKT, after yesterday, I will never call a game over, ever again.
Sure.
After CLG versus RNG. Especially because this is an awfully similar comp when I look down the line.
Sure, absolutely true, honestly. There's always the chance that things do turn around. G2 are not saying die, but they are down 12,000 gold 28 minutes in. Blank now looking for the play in the top side. But Trick is there to turn him around. Hybrid, though, missing another Winter's bite and kick. Not quite going to happen yet. Blank missing the Q, looking for a road back in on a Hybrid. He's going to walk into melee range. Turn back with the Fate's Call. Knows better than to go for the flash kick on the support of a Callista. So saving his summoners there. And now Duke running away. Kick is missing the ulti onto Faker. Tackling back into Duke, trying to keep himself alive. And will he turn it back around? This Echo is not going to find the play just yet, but a big knockup comes in. And there's the first kill. Bang is dominating. He gets another kill. That's 2 for him. Hybrid's next up. Make that a third. A triple for the SKT 80 carry. The inhibitor's already dead. They've got a minion wave right beneath them to go for the 5v2 push to win the game.
And I am confident that this time they will be able to do it. So SKT will take out G2, secure their spot in the group bracket stages.
Yes, they will. SKT have now secured a spot in the semifinals. G2 cannot end anything but 5th place here at the Mid-Season Invitational. They will lose the Pool 1 seed for Europe. SKT secure theirs, and now we have to see over the next few games just how this bracket will shape up. But we do have our top 4, and it includes SK Telecom T1.
And a much more informed SK Telecom T1 than we saw over the last couple of days. That Lee Sin performance, especially the last kick in the team fight, goes in, gets his man, gets a double knock up at the same time. Blank should hold his head high after that performance. 4-2-12. Not on one of the big three junglers, but still very impressive.
Yeah, definitely so. Good stuff out of these players overall. Looking at the final moments, Faker, true to his name, does not run skins. This actual patch on the Tournament Realm does actually include the new SKT skins, including the Faker Riot skin. Sadly, he doesn't play with skins. He's running the base, but I feel like if there's ever a time to do it, you know, be your own skin. No, Faker doesn't care.
He just wants to win League of Legends games, and that was pretty convincing. I mean, they pulled out the Sivir, a pick that had seen such high priority during the regular season, fallen off during MSI, crushed them with it, 8-0-4 out of Bang, and he had a very good early stage landing phase over what should have been a difficult opponent.
Yep, survived a pretty rough lane, team fought well, but I think above all else, the story is honestly the new guys. So Duke crushing his lane, getting the early ganks off was the first big opening for SKT, was how bad, or how good I should say, that top lane matchup was, and overall Blank capitalizing. He's been getting so much flack all tournament long, had a great game, 4-2-12, 16 out of 19 good participation, definitely very, very high for him on the Lee Sin, had a great game.
Yeah, and I love